Let's make your job easy.
West Coast advanced to a cutthroat semi-final at the MCG on Friday night after an emphatic 55-point victory against the Bombers in front of a bumper crowd at Optus Stadium. And we're thrilled to be bringing you all the action here from the Eagle Review desk. Proudly brought to you by Kennards Hire. Go to a store or shop online, kennards.com.au. Benny Roberts, hello, by my side once again.
Yep.
What a fantastic performance. It was all four quarters tick victory to the West Coast Eagles. The mini little season that we have here in September has started in the best possible way in a do-or-die elimination final.
Yeah, it's always good to win finals time. Everyone loves it, and it's always great to start the finals with a victory, and they march on to the next week. And as you say, probably at the MCG on Friday night against the loser of tonight's game, Geelong and Collingwood. No, it was a good performance. A big crowd, 59,216. So it's one of the biggest crowds we've had for the year, and one of the biggest crowds in history at Optus Stadium. So magnificent atmosphere at the game, and the boys played well really from the start, which we'll get into. And as we said, on to next week.
Yeah, 4-0 the Bombers were against us in finals, so good to snap that little run that they had going there, and it was done at the source to begin with.
Absolutely, yeah. Contested possessions up 22, so that was off the back of particularly last week when people were questioning that sort of area externally, up 22 in that regard, absolutely, and obviously it's helped by someone else we'll talk about a bit later as well, a big tall bloke from Fiji.
Never heard of him.
But I'll let you know shortly. 65 inside 50s off the back of that.
That's good supply.
Winning
big
the ball,
supply,
big supply, and winning the ball at the source. 62% of the time the ball's in the forward half, so that's a great stat as well. But as we said, starting well from the start. 10 marks in the first quarter. 10 intercept marks, I should say, in the first quarter. 9 different players, so which means that no matter what the Bombers were doing trying to go inside, they couldn't find the way through because our guys were defending really well. Pressure up the ground made it easier for the defenders to get things done. Contested possessions inside 50 alone, 15-1 early on in the piece, midway through the second, which was when we had made that break. So off the back of contested possession, getting the ball, getting it inside 50, locking it in, pressure on the game. It was a really good effort early. It
was a quality start by the boys. A 6-goal opening term in front of your home crowd. Always going to make it tough for the visiting team. It was 7 goals from their first 13 inside 50s from the first and second quarter. That efficiency, it's been quality all year, and there's nothing like delivering your one wood when it comes first week of finals. The Bombers just couldn't get any rebound from their defensive 50. West Coast put that much pressure on in the middle of the ground, and their forward 50 made it very tough for them. The kick-to-handball ratio, been a lot of talk of how West Coast like to go long and direct. 61 kicks to 18 handballs in the first quarter. Really just swung the ratio even more so in that favour. But the forwards, Benny, I want to talk about their West Coast Eagles forwards. They did it on many different fronts. Their ground ball differential, they were well on top in comparison to Essendon's. I know they didn't get the supply, but we were great at ground level. And in the air, 13-4 marks inside 50, dominant in that respect also.
Absolutely, and it was the talls and the smalls getting it done. Josh Kennedy was on from the start, Darling got involved, but it was also guys like Rioli, 6 disposals. 6 of his 7 disposals led to scores. Brilliant use by foot, kicking it to guys or just linking up. Cripper, 4 goals for the night. Most he's kicked in a final. 23 pressure acts, which is a game high. 12 score involvements. Kennedy, everyone said he wasn't playing well. I just said, mate, come on, just watch. 4 goals, most in a final.
And against Essendon.
And against Essendon, 5 marks inside 50. He was on from the start. Good to see him get some reward, because I think even as Wayne Carey said in the call, it's not just about marking, because you draw in 3 or 4 defenders every time, and the guys on the ground were getting it done. And Liam Ryan, I thought as well, 3 goals, dangerous from the outset, both in pressure when he didn't have the footy, getting the footy, kicking it to others, getting it forward and finishing off as well with 3. So they were on all night.
100%. So were the mids as well. A lot of great statistics being read out here. Gaff and Shuey, 34 touches each. It was the 15th game that Andrew Gass had over 30 this year. Has missed 2 with suspension, and has had 2 where he's had 29 touches as well.
2 off days with 29.
Just an absolute ball magnet. And Shuey, 10 inside 50s, 8 clearances, doing his best work from the source. Redden, player of the finals from 2018, rediscovered some of that form. Yo Sheed, it was just a good spread all round. And you know having the big fella there makes plenty of difference.
Yes, Nicholas Natanui back after an 8-week-ish layoff with that ankle and playing in bursts. As we know, he doesn't play a lot of game time, but as Simo said after the game, our most influential player, and I don't think anyone could argue with that. He had 14 disposals, 9 of those were contested, 4 tackles, but it's the times when he's tapped it down to the ground but then knocks 4 blokes out of the way and taps it forward, you don't get a stat for, that we get it inside 50 and go. I mean, there's a couple of times where we kicked a goal and I just said that was Nick Nananui, you know, like up the ground where no stats were recorded, and that goal was all Nick Nananui starting that chain. So very hard to statisticalise, is that a word? It is now. Statisticalise his impact, but his impact is profound on the game. 24 hitouts from 41 ruck contests, a lot of those to advantage. We average a Oppo scores from stoppages 9 points.
For the whole of 2019.
We outscore our opposition by 9 points from stoppages for 2019. We get 24 more points than the Bombers from that source on the night last night. Second scores launched from centre clearances. Now you just hope with the big fella back they will only increase, but it was a good start for him. He's pulled up well, so he has a bit to think about during the week, but hopefully he's there next week.
Correct. He had a couple of big moments worth talking about. You speak about the one barging through a pack of players and getting the handball out. This contest here, it wasn't just this moment that got the ball surging forward into our 50, but he's followed up. So these spurts he's having, he is really putting his foot down, because he follows this one up, lays the shepherd, allows that inside 50 ball and results in an Eagles goal. But how's the chase down on Sard? Just got Hutchie well out of the doghouse. He wasn't going to keep up with him. 31.7 is what the Telstra tracker caught him at. And that is lightning speed. I think there were a few heart and mouth moments from West Coast fans going, oh, I hope nothing pings, but all is well, and a tremendous tackle on the night.
Absolutely, and he puts an immense amount of pressure on the game and at the contest, and teams have to adjust what they do to get around the big fella, so it was great to see. Did have a moment that'll probably be touched on externally, you think, during the week, just on the boundary line there.
Bit of Royal Rumble-esque for a
Royal Rumble-esque, the hair getting pulled, and then decided that wasn't for me. Zachary, you need to be just put down onto the floor for a moment. We'll see what happens with that. Surely a fine. Surely if it's anything, it's a fine for both of them, and we move on, surely.
Yeah, tough night for Merrick. Got absolutely buried in a darling tackle, having to sit underneath this one. One of the worst positions you want to be in. Good to see the skipper Shannon Hurn return from his hamstring awareness, and to throw Hutchings in, of course, hasn't played a lot of footy over the last 6 weeks. The medical staff getting him into a great area and the coaches backing him in.
Geez, I was concerned when was Hutchie running through the middle chasing Sard at full tilt, and I thought if his hammy is going to go, this is when it's going to go, and it stood up. He didn't quite catch him.
You know a bit about doing hammies too,
yes, but that was the big test, and he passed. Didn't catch him, but the hammy stood up, which was good. He's pulled up well.
So the only injury concern, of course, Jackson Nelson with the head clash with Redmond in the fourth quarter. Took no further part after the incident. It was a tough way to end his first final, but was in good spirits afterwards.
He was good. No, he was good afterwards. Spoke to him, said he was good. It was good to see him get through his first finals. A couple of guys have played the first final, actually, Waterman, Hickey as well. But no, he's pulled up okay, all things considered, and hopefully there next week. Should be there next week. A
couple of quality moments I want to touch on here. Shannon Hurn going back with the flight. That's gutsy stuff. It was mimicked later on with Tom Hickey, as you said, first final. That's brilliant. McKenna, I think Bruce said McKenna had courage there. Wouldn't have thought probably the bloke going back with the flight would have it a bit more. What about Lewis Jetta? Was silky on the night. We'll get to his disposals, but what about putting Merritt in the spin cycle here? Woo-hoo! And Yowie did the same on Tip and Woody. No replay. Cheers, Channel 7. Butchered the kick, but they were a couple of wonderful half turns getting themselves out of trouble.
He mentioned Jetta's kicking. Look, I just don't think there's a more dynamic and influential kicker in the game. I just think he attempts and pulls off kicks that you cannot defend, and when they connect, I think I've said this before, when they connect, defences are just so out of position because his kicking is so adaptable to a defence's structure that one, you can kick it. No one even saw that option apart from him and Willie, who got it, the one in the first quarter. Look at that, just boom. And Willie's in space that no one else can reach. And it's amazing to watch. He's such a good kick and such a damaging weapon off halfback.
Big time. When you play zone defence, that's exactly how you get through it. Time for the roast of the round now, Benny.
Yeah, only one game to go through, but there's a few.
Yeah, I found some. I found some for you, mate. How about Big Bell Chambers? Monster mark and defensive 50. Well done. Just wanted to give the boundary umpire something to do, get his eye in early, throw that one in. Gov, no mark paid here, and everyone in the stadium knew about it, bar Gov and the man on the mark, so that was a bit of humour. Mate, blokes doing interviews with their mouth guard in. What are they thinking?
He's been off, mate. He's a bit dusty, a bit rusty in that regard. Polish, some of the polish is gone.
That was unfortunate.
Next time, something to work on it. Yowie getting in the, when a man's on, you do not get in his road. Yowie getting in the way of JK here, just drops a dolly. Ryan going for this mark over Hickey, didn't have to be there. That would have been good for Hick to mark that.
Kicked in the man of the mark after too.
Exactly.
Double whammy.
Exactly. Gov getting hit in the Jats crackers. Never nice to see, but got up and moved on. But
said I got a 90-metre torpedo in me as well.
Please, not under that sort of ailment. They can hurt.
Yeah, fix your nether regions first before you try that one. Darling dropping one of the marks of his career, the one-hander. Tough roast, but hang on to them, please. Cripps had about 40 options coming inside forward 50 here. Chose the wrong one behind. But geez, he had a good game, Jamie Cripps. Can't take him on too much. BT, anyone want to hand him a team sheet prior to the call?
Cuts it off. Now.
Just hold there. Hold there.
So Duggan's okay.
Nah, drop this week, BT. Bad luck.
Wouldn't be a roast section if BT wasn't mentioned, so it's nice to mention his name. Waterman first final, as we said, did very well. 16 disposals, 2 goals. He did very well, but also ended up probably on a poster, which is what you don't want. Francis taking the hanger on top. But the winner, Stephen, the winner. Got to get serious here. This sort of behaviour is not on.
No, you can't. Like, if you're in the field club, magnificent place to be, you're right there on the action, please don't be a part of the action. And he has missed his target by a considerable margin. I think this cameraman is still wet 24 hours later.